Hello, everyone, and good evening, and welcome to today's webinar brought to you by Shiksha.com and Arizona State University, USA, and Kaplan. This webinar is an informative session about UG programs offered by Arizona State University and Kaplan. Before starting up with the session, I would like to introduce our presenters for today. Our first presenter is Mr. Miles Campos, Recruitment Manager, Admission Services at Arizona State University. Our second presenter is Ms. Nani Man, Regional Director, ISC at Kaplan International Pathways. Thank you both for joining us today. Students, a special note for all of you. So if you have questions, please post your questions in the Q&A section, or if you want to ask your questions directly to the presenters, please click on the raise hand tab. We will take your questions at the end of the session. I would now request Miles to please start with the session.
Thank you, Lakshmi. Thank you everyone for joining our session today. I know it's a little bit late in India and it's a little bit early here in Arizona, but appreciate everybody taking the time to come get some information about Arizona State University. So today I'm going to present briefly for 20-30 minutes on the university and our undergraduate programs, and then we'll save some time for Q&A and just discussion at the end. So feel free to ask your questions as I present, and we'll be sure to save about half our time for actually asking your questions. Okay, so without further ado, let's get started. So I'll start off introducing myself. My name is Miles Campos, and as Lakshmi said, I work here at Arizona State University with our international students. I am based in Tempe, Arizona, so I'm at home right now, about 5 minutes from the Tempe campus. And I am a second generation triple ASU grad. What does that mean? That means that I have actually 3 degrees from ASU, and even my mom also graduated from ASU. So I've been here at the university for quite a while. So first, some general information about the university. So Arizona State University, because it is a state university, is a public university, and it's a very large school. So this year we have about 127,000 students enrolled at ASU, and about 14,000 international students coming from about 135 different countries. So what that means is students coming from India to study here. You will be going to class with plenty of other students from India, plenty of other students from your state, but it's going to be a very American experience as well. So you'll be on campus with a lot of domestic students, with a lot of students from other countries as well. So a lot of opportunities to make friends from all over the world. Here in Arizona, we have 5 campuses, 4 in Phoenix and 1 in Lake Havasu. I'm sure that most of the students here are probably interested in engineering and probably business. So in this presentation, I'll focus on 2 of those campuses. Very high quality faculty, very high quality students at the university as well. So I know that a lot of you probably want to know a little bit about our rankings. First, I'll cover a few things that we're very proud of. So ASU is actually ranked #1 in innovation, and that's ahead of Stanford and MIT, and that's for 6 years in a row. So that touches upon really every aspect of a student's experience, from the quality of education to the way we run our dorms, to just a lot of the experiences that you're able to have on campus during the 4 years you're here in Arizona. We are the #1 public university chosen by international students, and we are the largest public university in the United States. So just some general rankings. We are ranked number 46 among public universities in the US, with an overall ranking of 103. Our global ranking is 146. So I'm sure a lot of students probably are looking for, their goals are maybe a top 20 school or a top 30 school. But you can get I would encourage you to maybe take a look at the global rankings of any program you're looking at and maybe compare it to some of the schools that you'd be looking at if you were to study in India as well, to get a better understanding of kind of what those schools are what those rankings are talking about. Another thing to take a look at as well, besides overall ranking, I would suggest you take a look at program ranking and college ranking. Those are all very important things too. So besides overall ranking, we have some pretty pretty good college rankings as well. So a lot of different major choices at ASU. I know everybody here is undergraduate students. We have about 350 different undergraduate programs at ASU, and 126 of those are STEM programs. So that's your science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. STEM is actually a very important designation as far as your major choice. So in the US, once you graduate from your undergraduate program, you'll have some time to stay here and work on your student visa. If you study a non-STEM program, you have a year after graduation to stay here and work. If you study a STEM major, you have 3 years. So that's a pretty significant difference in terms of how long you can stay after graduation without a work visa. So with that many major choices, there's really kind of 4 main areas that ASU tends to be most well known for international undergraduate students. The first one is going to be business. So that's your things like accounting, marketing, supply chain management, these kinds of programs. The next is going to be art and design. So that's including things like architecture, industrial design, landscape architecture, digital design, things like that. Public affairs, that's going to be things like nonprofit management, things like that. And then engineering is very well known as well. So that's going to be your computer science, your computer engineering, your mechanical, your industrial, your civil, including things like robotics, alternative energy, these kinds of programs. So some major rankings. This is another important thing for you to be looking at when you're considering where to study as well. So here you'll see some undergraduate major rankings, some graduate major rankings. These are all coming from US News and World Report, which is generally what we use here in the US for rankings. US News and World Report does not rank design programs or architecture programs. So you'll see here some of those rankings coming from different sources within their industries. So you're sitting at home, you may not know very much about Arizona. I'm sure you know California, you know New York, you probably know a little bit about Florida, but you may not know very much about Arizona. So Arizona is in the Southwest US, right next to California and just above Mexico. So from Phoenix, where most of our campuses are, to cities like LA, San Diego, Las Vegas, is about an hour flight. If you were to drive, it'd be about 4.5 hours. So that means it's really easy to get together with your friends on Friday night. You can drive to Vegas, you can drive to Los Angeles, you can have some fun for the weekend, come back Sunday night and be back in class on Monday. But you don't have to pay those living expenses that you tend to see in places like California. So some general information about Phoenix. So Phoenix is a big city. We are the 5th largest city in the United States. We're bigger than San Francisco, bigger than Seattle, bigger than Philadelphia, bigger than DC. It is a big city. And with that comes all the things that you typically be looking for in a big city. We have a lot of things to do, fun nightlife, probably one of the best food scenes in the entire country, a lot of opportunities for jobs and internships, and good infrastructure, really just everything you'd be looking at to come study in a big city in an urban setting. One thing that's really nice about Phoenix as well is that our cost of living is actually lower than the national average, while salaries tend to be higher than the national average. So this is really important for students while you're studying here. So to give an example, if you were to go to San Francisco or anywhere in California, LA, to go study, your rent each month would be about, I would guess, reasonably about $1,500, $1,600 per month. And that's for a bedroom in a shared apartment. For that same price, $1,500, you could have your own 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment here in Arizona, here in Phoenix. That means if you're living together with your friends in Arizona, your bedroom is costing about $400 or $500. So it's a very significant difference in cost of living versus somewhere in California, for example. So that's another thing to consider when you're looking at schools, is cost of living. Great place once you graduate as well. Great place for young professionals, great place for fresh graduates wanting to find jobs. especially if you're looking to work in tech. It's one of the best places you can end up in the entire country. So in general, we're seeing some pretty strong trends in the US of companies leaving places like Silicon Valley, California, the Seattle area, and heading out to different places in the US, and establishing kind of secondary headquarters and new headquarters in other places. And we're kind of seeing them coming to three main places. They're coming to Arizona, to Utah, and to Texas. So if you're looking to get a job in tech, that's probably one of the places that you'll want to end up. So I mentioned that we have 4 campuses here in Phoenix and 1 outside of Phoenix in a place called Lake Havasu. This is all the same university. Our diplomas don't say which campus you graduated from. Our transcripts don't have any differences. It's all very much the same university. In fact, a lot of students actually take classes at more than 1 campus, depending on their situation. Sometimes maybe they're double majoring in 2 different majors, doing a major and a minor at 2 different campuses, or sometimes maybe they just choose to take a class at a different campus. It's very, very common. So we do provide shuttles to our students to be able to go between each campus. They're free. They're only for our students. There's Wi-Fi on the buses. They leave every 15 minutes, so it's very convenient to be able to get back and forth between each campus. The distance between each campus is about a half an hour between each one. So when a lot of people think of Arizona State University, typically what comes to mind would be our Tempe campus. Now, we don't have a main campus and satellite campuses or anything like that. They're all the same university. They're just different locations. So I'll discuss the Tempe campus first. So if you're studying majors in, a lot of our business majors would be at this campus. If you're studying something like computer science, mechanical engineering, industrial engineering, you would be here. If you're studying architecture, you would be here. Industrial design, you would be here. So a lot of those majors are going to be at the Tempe campus. Now, if you've never been to this campus, it's really difficult to describe exactly how big it is. It's almost like it's its own city. So we have 2 or 3 libraries, 4 or 5 gyms, 4 or 5 cafeterias to eat at, many different dorm options. You can see there on the bottom left is our football stadium where we have sports games, and that holds about 50,000 students at one time. So that's the same size as a lot of national stadiums. On the bottom right, you'll see our theater that we have on campus. This is where you can go see performances. It's one of the few places in the US where you can see Broadway shows outside of New York. So the same shows, the same actors they have in New York would be touring here. And so students can get discount tickets for that as well. Now, another campus a lot of students here would probably be interested in is our Polytechnic Campus. Now, Polytechnic in the US has a different meaning than Polytechnic in India. So here, Polytechnic just means that it's multiple different technical disciplines. It has no bearing on kind of the level of education or the level of the degree or anything like that. But as the name states, it's a very engineering and very tech-focused campus. So one thing that's pretty interesting as you walk around this campus is you'll notice there are hardly any classrooms on this campus, very few. The vast majority of students' work is done in labs. So from the very first day, freshmen are doing most of their work in labs. It's a very hands-on style of education that you'll get here at the Polytechnic Campus. A lot of partnerships between Polytechnic Campus and big engineering firms like Honeywell, Boeing, Raytheon. And they're putting multi-million-dollar machines in these labs on this campus for our students to use. What they want to make sure is that when students graduate and they hire them, they don't have to spend then a year getting them up to date on the latest technology and the latest processes. They want students to be able to graduate on Friday, start working for them on Monday, and just be right in the swing of things. So to that end, they're really dedicated to making sure that students have the latest technology to work with. What that means is highly qualified students graduating that get picked up for jobs. Companies will scramble to hire them once they graduate. Now, this campus also has its own airport. I'm not sure if you've heard of a university that has its own airport before, but this campus does. So a lot of our aircraft related majors are here as well. So things like our pilot training programs, air traffic management, things like that. And students can use that airport to fly to cities like Las Vegas, Portland, San Francisco. To fly to Vegas is about $50 there and about $50 back. So it's very easy to be able to travel around from that airport as well. Now, the last campus I'll cover really briefly is our downtown campus. So if you're interested in doing things like global management, journalism, something like that, nursing, this is the campus you would be at. And it's right in the heart of downtown Phoenix. It's very much that urban campus experience that a lot of students are looking for. Now, as far as what students can expect once they graduate, I know for some of you, you might be in your last year of high school or have just graduated, so you may not be thinking about what happens after you graduate, but I can assure you that your parents probably are. So last year, 90% of our students found jobs within 90 days of graduation. That includes international students as well. We're ranked number 5 in the US for producing the best qualified graduates by the Wall Street Journal. And we're ranked top 10 in the US of graduates, of universities and undergraduates to work in Silicon Valley. So if you're interested in working in tech, then essentially these are the universities that you're going to want to be considering. These are the top 25 universities that are sending students that are being hired by I guess so-called tech companies. Arizona State University is ranked number 10, so that's ahead of schools like University of Michigan, UCLA, Texas A&M, Purdue. Surprisingly, MIT is number 20 in that, but you can see that ASU is a very good choice for students looking to go work in Silicon Valley or work in tech. You don't have to go to a school in California or in the Bay Area to be there. I know a lot of students have questions about jobs on campus as they study as well. So most of you will be studying on an F1 visa. That's an international student visa, which allows you to work up to 20 hours per week on campus. And that's the same at every university in the United States. This is not a university policy. This is a national policy. But because we are the largest university in the United States, with that comes a lot of on-campus job opportunities as well. So some students might be making coffee at a Starbucks on campus, working in one of the shops, working in one of the restaurants. They may end up working for the admissions department, helping talk to other international students. There's a lot of different job opportunities there as well. So companies hiring students once they graduate. This is the top employers for ASU. Probably some companies you'll recognize, maybe some companies you won't. So you'll see some pretty strong engineering firms, companies like Honeywell, General Dynamics, some pretty strong logistics companies like Amazon, American Airlines, DHL, FedEx, Intel, I'm sure most of you are familiar with. ASU sends more engineers to Intel than any other university in the world. So a lot of our students do end up there. Now, I'm not sure if most of you have started applying yet, but I'll go over our admission requirements pretty quickly. So in general, what we're looking for from international students is a high school GPA of at least 3.0 and a TOEFL of either 61 or 79, depending on the major that you're applying for. So if you're applying for engineering, you'd be looking for a high school GPA of 3.0 on a 4.0 scale and a TOEFL score of 79. If you're applying for business, for example, depending on the major, it'd be a GPA of either 3.0 or 3.4 and then a TOEFL of 61. That's the main things that we're looking at. So I know that in a lot of countries around the world right now, it's really difficult to get a TOEFL test or an IELTS test. So there are some other options for that as well, and a lot of students are choosing to take either a Kaplan English course, the Kaplan IBT, which is a English test run by Kaplan, or Duolingo. Those are some really good options that you can actually do from home, so you don't have to worry about trying to schedule a test and all the headache that comes with that these days. If there are any transfer students here, so students that are already enrolled in undergraduate programs and want to transfer to ASU, that is an option as well. In general, the English requirements are the same as they would be if you were enrolling as a freshman, but the GPA requirements are a little bit different. So they are a little bit lower for most majors and for some majors in the School of Business as well. So housing, I know, is always a big question as well. So most of our international students will live on campus their first year. It's not absolutely required, but it is highly suggested, and it's a great idea. So living on campus is, your roommate's going to be the first friend you meet. It's going to be how you get integrated into the academic community. It's going to be how you find out the fun things that are going on campus. It's going to be how you make friends. So it's highly suggested. If you do want to live on campus, we guarantee that you'll have a spot to live. So housing is guaranteed. So this is kind of what a typical dorm looks like. So most rooms will have 2 students per room, and then between the room would be a bathroom for 4 students. The bathroom's shared by four students, but you get 4 sinks, 4 mirrors, 4 cabinets, so everybody gets their own space in there as well. For our engineering students, most of you are going to end up living at Tucker House. Tucker House is a engineering specific dorm, so everybody that lives here is engineers. All of our students live with classmates from the same or similar majors to them. Here at Tucker House, the layout is the same. It's 2 students per room, 4 students per bathroom. Tucker House has its own cafeteria, it has its own gym, it has its own laundry facilities. It has engineering tutoring in the dorm, so to go get tutoring for your classes, you don't have to walk very far. It also has its own maker space in the dorm as well, with 3D printers, CNC machines, really everything you would need in a maker space. So as far as tuition at the university, regardless of whether you're studying at Tempe, at the downtown campus, at the Polytechnic Campus, base tuition for international students is $31,000 per year, plus cost of living, housing, transportation, health insurance. Overall cost per year is estimated at $55,000, and that's the amount that you would be required to show in order to get your I-20, to get a visa to come study here as well. We do provide scholarships to our students. So once you apply, you'll be automatically considered for scholarships. And they range from a few $1,000s up to 50% of tuition. So depending on your qualifications and the materials that we receive, there are some very, very good opportunities to help fund your education here at ASU. So as far as dates and deadlines, for those of you interested in coming for fall 2021, there is still time to apply. You're a little bit later in the process than some of the other students, so I would encourage you, if you're interested in fall 2021, to get on it as quick as possible and submit your application to your counselor at Shiksha. But otherwise, we do have options in spring as well. So if you're planning on coming for spring, you'll want to wait for that application to open. Now, I'm sure a lot of you have questions about what the COVID-19 situation is here. We went to a mixed online on-campus model in spring of 2020 that continued through fall of 2020 and spring of 2021. By fall of 2021, so that's the coming semester, that will continue. It will still be a mixed online and on-campus model, but we're going to be starting to shift to more of an on-campus model by next fall. Here in Arizona, the vaccinations are rolling along quite strongly, and the situation is pretty good here. So we're expecting a lot more students to be on campus by next fall, and there should be a lot more opportunities in India as well to be getting visas compared to some of the previous semesters. Now, I know that was really quick. I think we still have about half our time left over to be able to answer some of the questions and have some discussions here. So feel free to ask your questions in the Q&A, to ask your questions, to raise your hand, and I'd be happy to answer anything you have. Could be about the city, the student experience, your particular program, really kind of anything you're looking for.
Thank you so much, Miles. Yes, we have a lot of questions from students. I will start with the questions in the Q&A section. Student, if you want to ask question directly to the presenter, you can please click on the raise hand tab. I will unmute you and then you can ask your question directly. So the first question is from Anmol Akshat, and he is asking, what is the approximate total living plus tuition expense for an international student per annum?
So that's covered in this screen. So you'll be paying tuition, this is the amount that you'd be paying without a scholarship. So this can be reduced through scholarship. You'd be paying a college fee, you'd be paying your student services fee. This housing and meals is an estimate. So this can vary depending on the meal plan you choose. It can vary depending on whether you are living on campus or off campus. Again, books and supplies is an estimate. Transportation is an estimate. Personal is an estimate. Health insurance, this is a set fee. So some of these are set fees, some of these are estimates. What that means is that with no scholarship and no funding, the annual total is estimated at $55,000. Of course, this can go up and down depending on a student's lifestyle, but this is in general the estimate. And again, this is before any scholarship students would receive.
Okay, moving to next question. This question is again from Anmol, and he's asking, what is the scholarship criteria for an international student?
In general, it's the same as what we'd be looking at for admission. So we'd mostly be looking at your high school GPA, we'd be looking at your English scores, and that's the main thing that we're considering.
Okay. Moving to next question.
Sorry, just wanted to add about the scholarships. These are automatic merit-based scholarships. So you don't really have to write a separate essay or make a separate application for it.
Okay. Next question is from Shubham Jangra. So he's asking, what is the procedure for application I would like to apply?
If you'd like to apply, I'd encourage you to reach out to your counselor at Shiksha, and they'll be able to walk you through the process. They all know a lot about the application process, about our university, and they can help you with that.
Okay. I will take few live questions now. I'm going to unmute Sudarshan Naikar. Sudarshan, please unmute yourself and ask your question.
Yeah, hi. You also talked about the scholarships. Now, suppose there is a scholarship which is X amount. Will I need to still show $55,000 in the for the I-20, or will that be a reduced amount?
No, when you're applying for your I-20, any scholarships that you've received from the university would contribute to that overall amount. So, for example, if you're required to show 55,000, and let's say you get a $10,000 scholarship, at that point you'd be needing to show a $10,000 scholarship as well as bank statements for 45,000.
Okay, so the statement that we need to show is for $45,000 in that case, right?
Yeah, depending on the amount of scholarship. But yeah, whatever scholarship you receive, as long as you're putting that as a source of funding on your forms, would contribute to that overall total.
Yeah, that I understood. But from my side, the scholarship has to be deducted and we can show the remaining amount, right? That's possible, right?
Correct.
That's okay.
Correct, yeah.
Okay, thanks. And these fees that you talked about, one last question. The fees that you talked about, base tuition is 31,200, and the remaining fees are there to be paid, right? Like the undergraduate college fee, books and supplies, transportation, and these are additional, right? And health insurance will be $3,000 roughly.
Yeah, exactly. So tuition, college fees, student services fees, housing and meal plans, and health insurance. These are fees that would be assessed by the university, and you'd be paying 50% in the fall and 50% in the spring. Likewise, scholarships are distributed 50% in the fall and 50% in the spring as well. So tuition and fees is paid twice per year at the start of each semester. Other things like transportation, books and supplies, personal, these are obviously not being paid to the university. These are just estimates to help students understand what they'd probably be paying for things like their books or going to the store to get groceries and things like that.
Okay. And the engineering program will have 24 credits or 30 credits? How much will it be? Because normally it is a 120 credit program, right? Over a 4-year period. Here it comes to 96 credits.
Exactly. For engineering, for all of our majors, it's an overall credit count of 120, leading towards graduation over 4 years. Now, as far as what they're taking per semester or per year, students on an F1 visa, that's international students, are required to take at least 12 credits per semester to maintain full-time student status. That's a requirement for their visa. Students are welcome to take more than that. In fact, generally we do see students take 13, 14, 15, sometimes even up to 18 credits. That would be a very heavy load, especially for engineering, but they can. That base tuition of $31,000 is the standard rate for full-time study. So once a student goes above 12 credits, it's the same fee, whether they're taking 12, 15, 18. All they're paying is that standard full-time tuition. It's not a per credit cost.
Great. That's really assuring to hear. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Darshan. I'm going to now unmute Anmol. Anmol, please ask your question.
Hi, Miles. My question is, can you tell me something about the internship and co-op opportunities for computer science students, Bachelor's of Computer Science?
Sure. So we don't maintain a co-op like some universities do, which would be when students are actually working as a course or even taking time off their courses to work. But students are welcome to be doing internships and on-campus research as well. So an internship is just like any other job. Students are applying for it. They're going out and getting it. There's a lot of support there to help students do that through both our university career services and our engineering career services. If students decide they are looking for an internship, their first stop would definitely be to go there. They'd be explaining the process of applying. They'd be helping them work on their resume, introducing companies to them, introducing them to companies, working on their LinkedIn, even working on giving them mock interviews and really guiding them through this process. Another thing students like to do is on-campus research as well. So we do have, and a program I would encourage you to look at is called FURI. That's F-U-R-I, the Fulton Undergraduate Research Initiative. And this is an initiative encouraging undergraduate engineering students to get involved with long-term research projects with faculty as undergraduates. Students apply to that. They let them know what project they'd like to complete. They work on it over the course of a semester or a year. These projects can be funded by the College of Engineering under guidance from faculty. So in a lot of ways, it's very much akin to sort of the graduate student experience at an undergraduate level. Students are eligible to apply for that in the second semester of their first year. So even as freshmen, they could get involved with that.
Okay, I have one more question. So when I apply for an on-campus job, will it be, I mean, major specific? Like if I have a computer science major, then I'll be working on a job which is related to computer science, or I can work on any sort of job?
Maybe, maybe not. If it's something in the College of Engineering, I'm sure they'd be looking specifically for engineering students. But if you're making coffee at Starbucks, I don't think they care what major you come from. So really, I think that the answer is both.
Okay, thank you. That will be it for me. It was really helpful talking to you.
Thanks.
Thank you so much, Anmol. Next, I'm going to unmute Aman. Aman sir, please ask your question.
Hello. My understanding is that due to the COVID, whatever you told, that it will be probably going to be online. So is that means that the student, I'm an international student, so I will be taking this course from India, or what is that? I applied for computer science BS.
Sure. So the answer is both. I think most students would prefer to travel here and to be here, taking classes on campus, living with their classmates, and of course taking classes on Arizona, living in Arizona time zone and taking classes in Arizona time zone. So if students are able to travel, the preference generally is for them to travel here and be here. If students are unable to travel for some reason, they can work with their academic advisor in order to take classes, to start their classes digitally from India and then transition to on campus when they are able to travel. This is something we've seen a lot of last fall and this spring, when students, especially in India, were having real difficulty getting visa appointments. A lot of the consulates and embassies were closed, and most students last fall and this spring chose to start online and do that for about a semester and then transition to on campus. So yes, that is an option.
Yeah, so that will be probably considering the vaccination program. So probably it may be 1 semester or 2 semester, I mean 1 year. So in that case, is there the estimation of the fees and all that will get changed?
So
estimated
if students
annual total.
Sure. If students are studying online, tuition and fees are the same as if they were studying on campus. Of course, they wouldn't be paying for things like housing and a meal plan. They wouldn't be paying for health insurance. Some of their personal expenses would be reduced because they're living at home. But as far as what you're seeing on the screen now in terms of tuition, college fees, student services fees, those would all be the same.
Okay, so this okay for that. Okay. Okay, thank you. That is my question. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Aman. Next, I'm going to unmute Shrijan Karki. Shrijan, please ask your question.
You talked about the deadline coming soon, right?
You mean to apply for fall 2021?
Oh yes, fall 2021, and I've already taken my IELTS test, but the result won't be out until March. So I was thinking about sending an application for a conditional offer letter. Will that be possible?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can apply based on your academics without your English scores, and like you said, be offered a conditional admission. Once you get your IELTS scores back, just send in your scores and we'd be able to update that to a unconditional admission.
And what about SAT?
We don't require international students to take SATs or ACTs. If you have them, you could submit them, but they're not required from international students.
So will that affect my scholarship chances if I don't take the SAT?
No, you would still be equally considered for scholarships as well.
Okay, and I checked your website for a hospitality management course, and it sent me off to other kinds of like community college links. So what's that? You don't have a BHM course at Arizona State University?
We don't have a course in hospitality. What I would encourage you to look at is our degree in tourism and recreation management. That's probably what you'd be looking for.
Okay, thank you. That was it.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you so much, Shrijan. Next, I'm going to unmute Zaid Khan. Zaid, please ask your question and unmute yourself.
Hi. So my question is, if I read correctly, there are 2 campuses, and the tuition fees is, huge difference. I mean, why, it's like 3 times, on one campus and others. So what is the major difference? And because if somebody wants to do, let's say, computer science, will it make a difference in the quality of education?
Okay, so you're probably looking at this screen that I'm showing right now. We actually have 5 campuses here in Arizona. 4 of them are here in Phoenix, and one of them is about 3 hours outside of Phoenix at a smaller campus called Lake Havasu. As far as the campuses that are here in Phoenix, the tuition is the same at all of them. The quality of the tuition is the same at all 5 campuses, absolutely. Students are being granted the same degrees, the same quality of education. Now, the campus that you're seeing with base tuition of 10,000, the reason that exists is in order to give opportunities to students that cannot pay that 30,000 in tuition. That's the only reason it exists. It's the same quality of education as you would get at any other campus. Now, that being said, that campus that you're seeing at Lake Havasu with the 10,000 tuition does not have engineering programs and does not have computer science. It has some really great programs in business, in biology, in the tourism and recreation management that I mentioned to the last person, but it does not have engineering. So if a student is looking at computer science, they'd be looking at our Tempe campus, which is that Metropolitan Phoenix campus tuition.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you so much, sir. Next question is from Abhinav Aryan. Abhinav, please unmute yourself and ask your question.
Yeah, so hi, I would like to ask that is there any chance of getting 100% scholarship?
Not from the university through the scholarships that that I've been mentioning. So typically the highest that we're seeing a student get is about 50% of tuition.
Okay, yeah.
Now there are private scholarships that you can apply for outside of that and departmental specific scholarships. But as far as what we're talking about here that are being granted on admission to the university, no, there's not a 100% scholarship option.
Okay, yeah, thanks.
Thank you so much, Abhinav. Next question is from Nishant Am. Nishant, please ask your question. Nishant, please unmute yourself and ask your question. I think it's not there. Some problem maybe. Okay, next I'm going to unmute Purva Rao. Please unmute yourself and ask your question.
Yeah, am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, so I wanted to know if so after 1 year you usually get a temporary residency by the state. So would we be applicable for the resident fees from the 2nd year?
Not as a student, no. Typically in the US, students are not granted a residency if they're enrolled at university. That's kind of the one exception. And as an international student here, you, on an F1 visa, you would have to maintain full-time student status. So barring a few different situations, generally speaking, no, you wouldn't be getting residency here as a student.
Okay, I have another question.
The same is for domestic American students from other states as well.
Okay. I have another question. So for scholarship, so I've actually got admitted to the university. So will I be getting will I get to know if I'm getting a scholarship like now or after I submit my financial documents for the I-20?
Well, first of all, congratulations on your admission. That's awesome. Generally speaking, it does take a little bit of time after admission to see that scholarship appear on your account. So be patient and wait. And if you have any questions, you can reach out to your counselor here or any of my colleagues in India or myself, and be happy to answer any questions you have about that. But it does not happen automatically on admission. No, it does take a little bit of time for that to appear.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Purva. Next, I'm going to unmute Sarthak Trivedi. Sarthak, please unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hello. So
Hello?
I wanted to ask about the aerospace engineering department at Arizona State University.
Okay, great.
So like, what are the research opportunities available at Arizona State University? Because I've applied to the UK too, and I've been selected at University of Bristol and University College London. So I'll be applying to US also.
Yeah,
Just
so
to
I
compare.
mentioned, I mentioned earlier in my presentation the Theory program that we have that enables undergraduate students to conduct long-term research projects with faculty at ASU. Now, beyond that, I'm not an aerospace engineer, so I'm not really sure exactly when I see research projects and research being done in aerospace engineering at ASU, I don't even know what it means half the time. But that's a really strong program. You may have seen in the last few days about the Mars lander, or the Mars rover landing on Mars that was sent up by NASA here in the US. That was also a major project here at ASU as well, with professors, researchers, faculty playing a major role in that. So there's a MAST Z, which is one of the cameras that's on the rover that was actually designed here on campus and by ASU faculty. So we have faculty doing research both in space and in airplanes and things like that. I'm sure being interested in aerospace, you know more about it than I do. So I would encourage you just to go to our website and maybe take a look at the research that's being done in aerospace. Look up the faculty for that program and take a look at their research interests, publications, things like that, to get a better understanding of the actual research that's being conducted here.
Thank you, sir. And secondly, I'd like to ask, like, if I'm unable to pay the higher end of the tuition fee, which is like for the Tempe campus, or so if I switch, to the Lake House campus, is aerospace available there?
It's not. No, Lake Havasu does not have engineering.
So I'll be like paying 30,000 tuition fee for my program.
That's before any scholarships you might be awarded.
Oh, okay, thank you, sir. That will be it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Sarthak. Next question is from Tanisha Tipnis. Tanisha, please unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hi, I would like to know if you accept Indian State Board marks for 12th grade.
I'm not based in India. Okay. Thanks, Dan.
I'll take that one, sorry. Yes, Tanisha, that's correct. We would accept state board results as well. Where are you studying? Which is your board?
Maharashtra State Board.
Absolutely fine. We'd be happy to.
Okay, and will the English language test be still required if I've completed my entire education in English?
That's correct. You would still need that.
Okay, and what if my exam results, 12th standard exam results, are not out by July 5?
Tanisha, for admission purposes, we look at 3 years of results in hand. So if you're able to give us your class 9, 10, 11 results, we make a decision based on that. We do not look at predicted grades to make a decision. So don't worry, by the time you need to join, you will have your results by then. So your offer will already be in hand before that.
Okay, thank you so much.
Our pleasure.
Thank you so much, Tanisha. Now I'm going to take few questions from the Q&A section. This question is from Dhruv Solanki, and he's asking, I want to live with my relatives there in Phoenix. Then what would be my final cost for 4 years?
It'd be similar to what you're seeing here, but of course, housing and meals would be different. So depending on the situation where you're living, that would be different. Most of the other fees would be similar.
Okay, next question is from Arohi Mishra, and she's asked, is it important to provide passport copy because I don't have passport right now and it will be ready in 2-3 months?
In order to apply for your ID, you'll need to provide a copy of your passport to apply to the university now.
Okay. Second question from Arohi is, when and how a student can pay the fees if scholarship is provided to the particular student?
So tuition and fees are paid about a week after the start of classes. So you're not paying anything before classes actually start besides your enrollment deposit. So once we're getting towards the start of classes and you're starting to see fees assessed to your account, your scholarship would automatically kick in and start paying some of those fees. And then what you would want to pay is essentially what's left over after that.
Okay. Next question is from Uday. Uday is asking, what are the after UG perspectives of jobs or any sort of entrepreneurial opportunities for a student?
Sure. So once students graduate from their undergraduate programs, there's really two main directions they go. I guess three. Some would be looking at going into industry, finding jobs. And for that, they'd be applying for jobs like anybody else. As I mentioned at the very start of my presentation, students studying something like engineering, for example, would have 3 years of time they can stay in the US and work on their student visa without needing an actual work visa. For that, it's through a program called OPT, Optional Practical Training, and students can engage in that. The other route students tend to go to is often going directly into graduate school. So you might graduate, and rather than trying to find a job, you'd be looking at attending a graduate program. So that's kind of the other route students tend to take. I guess a third one might be some students that want to return home or maybe go to a third country as well. So those are generally what we see when students complete their programs.
Okay. Next question is from Sahil, and he's asking, once I've applied and I've filled my application, how much time will it take for me to receive my I-20?
Well, first you'll need to be admitted, which might take a couple weeks for that to get processed. Then you'll need to apply, and then you'll want to apply for your I-20, which again might take a couple weeks for that to be processed as well.
Okay, I'm going to take the last question. These question has been asked by a lot of students, Files, and this question is regarding what would be the application fee and if there is an application fee waiver for students.
Sure. So students applying through Shiksha are able to get an application fee waiver. So generally, you would have to pay that application fee, but for students here applying through Shiksha, we can waive that. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, Miles. Thank you so much, Nani. And with this, we have come to the end of this session. And students, if you have any further question, you can get in touch with Shiksha, or Shiksha counselors will get in touch with you for further processing of the application and helping you out with your further queries regarding your admissions. And before we take a pause, I would request Miles or Nani to please share something with the students which will help them in their process of applying to the university.
Sure. Nani, do you have any thoughts?
Yes. What I'd like to ask the students to do is, if you're thinking of applying and studying in the US, make sure that you apply in time. As Miles said, it takes a couple of weeks for your offer to come through. It's always nice to have things in place, right? So I understand also a lot of you will be appearing for your board exams now. Before you start with your exams, do apply, get the process out of the way so that you're reassured and you can concentrate on your board exams. Work hard, do really well. It's been a challenging year. A lot of us have been studying from home. So just make sure that you put whatever effort you need to and get those grades. So all the very best to all of you.
Thank you so much, Nani, and thank you so much both of you for taking out time today, and thank you for such a informative session. I hope students must have got the answers on a lot of their queries, and this will help them in applying to the university swiftly. So thank you everyone. Thank you all of you for joining us today, and have a great day ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Lakshmi. Thanks a lot, Lakshmi. Appreciate this. Thanks, Miles. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Bye.